Dan Willis here, and we're talking about Receivables Performance Management, or the RPM collection agency. And yes, this is a third-party independent debt collector. They are headquartered in Linwood, Washington. They will buy the collection rights for your account for a very small amount. They call it junk debt because they pay very minimal amount of money and then start contacting you about payment for a much larger sum. And they'll collect on a variety of accounts, including healthcare, auto financing, credit cards, utilities, and many more. There's a couple of points here. And the very first one is, especially if you're being contacted, you're not responsible for a debt forever. It's called the statute of limitations, but this sets a time window for which you are legally responsible for repayment for that debt. There's a few exceptions, but the vast majority of debts, you're only legally responsible for repayment for about 7 years. Please check your local statute of limitations to find out, because as every state has a different one. But generally speaking, it's about 7 years that you're legally responsible. If this debt falls within that time window, and do this stuff before you make a payment, please. But what you need to do, the first step to negotiating with them, is to request debt validation. This needs to be done through mail, and what it does is it'll force Receivables Performance Management to provide you with the documents and the evidence that prove and show that they own your debt, that they have the legal rights to collect on your debt. If they can't provide you or don't respond to that, then the debt is null and void. You're no longer legally responsible for repayment, and that should be an easy item to get off your credit report. But the debt validation is big, because what it's really doing is saying, hey, prove that's my debt, and then we can talk about it. If your debt is validated and it's within the statute of limitations, because Receivables Performance Management is a junk debt collector, meaning they paid just a small amount of money to buy the collection rights to your debt, that means you can negotiate a settlement payment for much less than the total balance they're contacting you about to collect on. Big star here. Don't just pay them even a negotiated settlement amount, because what that's going to do is take your collection and it's going to turn it into a paid collection on your credit report. That doesn't build credit. That's still a negative derogatory item. What you need to do as part of your settlement payment is get them, and do this in writing, get them to agree to stop reporting your account information to all three of the major credit bureaus. Because the way you go about getting this off your credit report is by filing a dispute with each of the three major credit bureaus. Assuming that this is on all three of your credit reports, then you'll have to dispute Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion the item, the collection from Receivables Performance Management. What they're going to do, once they deem your dispute valid, they'll investigate it and they'll contact Receivables Performance Management and ask them to verify your account and the details and stuff. But especially if you made a settlement payment, they've already agreed that they'll stop reporting your account information, and thus during an investigation it won't be verified. Any item on your credit report that cannot be verified by law, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, must be removed from your credit report. Please be careful with these guys. Be careful with any collection agency. They infringe on rights all the time. I'm not talking about RPM, but just the whole industry in general. And there's really some clear-cut things that you need to be aware of, to put it very mildly and nicely. If this is Dan Willis, please subscribe and join our congregation. Please also visit the link in the description below to visit an article at our website for some more tips about Receivables Performance Management. We've also got a free report available there, the 7 super simple steps to clean credit. Please have a fantastic day, and looking forward to talking to you again here soon.